This is the Rymic Infinity 3. It is a new brand that I am covering here in the channel. So what they're aiming at is a more affordable city urban commute bike. We've got a frame and setup that has a total weight of 18 kilos, which is not bad for an e-bike. It has 700C wheels with Kenda road tires. We've got a 7-speed Shimano setup with gears, so at least it doesn't have one of those belt drives with just the single speed. And our brakes are brand brakes too. TechTablets mechanical disc brakes, 160 millimeters. So it has a rear hub motor. The output from this one is restricted. So it's 250 watts, which is the EU limit, and you cannot go any faster than 25 kilometers per hour with the assist. So it's got 3 pedal assist levels. Once you go over 25, it cuts out and then you're just on your own pedal power there, which is normal. So with this bike, you'll see that it does have a lockable, removable battery. It's 10 amp hours or 360 watt hours, and they claim it should have a range of up to 100 kilometers. The rear hub motor is a brand motor too, so it's a Mi Vice and they're using a torque sensor with it. So the power delivery is smooth and it's pretty much instantaneous, which is what you want. So it has up to 46 Newton meters of torque, and the maximum output with the EU version is limited to 250 watts. So we don't have a speed sensor in the crank, it is a torque sensor. The welds do look good, the paint job finish I like. It's this dark grey metallic, the version I have here, with a few areas that are silver. Now, front hub does have a quick release, making any puncture repairs nice and easy to get the wheel off, but we don't have this with the rear, unfortunately. And the rear is exactly the same, 160 millimeter TechTablets mechanical disc brake. Rymic has selected a seat that is reasonably comfortable, no real complaints from me about it. It's got a bit of sponge to it, and we do have an adjustable seat post with a quick release. The bike does come with this rear tail light. Now it's an LED one, it's not super bright, but it does the job. It's included there. Of course, you can upgrade this to something a little more powerful. You can see here at night that the lighting on the bike isn't bad at all. So with the front headlight, it is a reasonably powerful LED one. It does have a bit of a lens to it, so it focuses in front of you for riding at nighttime. As you can see now, as I've been cruising along, this was taken at about 11 p.m. You can see that it lights up the path sufficient enough. Even without any street lights, I can see where I need to go safely. So it is an okay light that is included. Now the front headlight LED, that runs off the main battery, but this rear one does not. It's separate and needs 2 AAA batteries. So we have gears here from Shimano. We've got 7 speeds, and the chain that they do use is a KMC. So that's a proper brand chain. And even though it is entry-level Shimano tourney, it still is good and it's reliable. Better than a no-brand derailleur. The front crank, as you can clearly see, does have a alloy chain guard around it. So that's good for protecting the chain and also to make sure it doesn't come off this way if it ever was to come off. The bike does have a removable battery. It's 10 amp hours or 360 watt hours. There is, if you press the power button here, a little battery gauge so you can see if it is fully charged before you actually put it in the bike. Now to remove it is a key, so it's locked in place. No one can just go along and steal it. And when you unlock it here, that pops it up and then you can easily just take it out. Now this is a generic battery size that I have seen before used in other bikes, so it should be easy to source a replacement. There is a little waterproof cap that is over where the charging port is. Charge time, you're looking at around about 3.5 hours, but they do apparently sell a high-speed fast charger that will do it in 2.5 hours, which is great considering it's a 10 amp hour battery. So the brake levers, they feel good. They are from TechTablets. With the front brake here, we do have a bell incorporated into the lever. As you can hear, it is quite loud. And the grips, these are lock grips, spongy. They're not turning around or going anywhere on me, which is really good. And then we have our trip computer. So to power it on, you do need to first enter a password. That's good in a way. That stops anyone that decides to try and steal the bike. At least they're not going to have the power assist, the pedal assist. We've got 3 levels with it, so either off, 1, 2, or 3. And then you see here that we have a trip meter, the odometer, our maximum speed, average speed, and current speed can be shown, and the battery is clearly shown right here on the left. and then the little gauge right there, as you can see. Now it is a little hard to make out in direct sunlight, but not too bad. But I've seen screens that are a lot clearer than this one. That's just a minor little complaint here from me when it comes to the screen. The Shimano gear selector here is very easy to use, and it has a clear gauge so you can see which of the 7 gears you are in. Now on to what it's like to ride here, the Affinity 3. The kickstand, I wanted to point out that it is sturdy and it has not let the bike down, let it fall over, that is, and it doesn't seem to rattle. What does rattle is the battery located within the frame there, which is of course removable, that I showed you just before. Now the frame size, for me at least, is working out to be pretty good. It feels nice and comfortable. Now as soon as you start to pedal, you basically get that power straight away from the 46 Newton meter torque 250 watt motor. So with the torque sensor, the power delivery is very smooth and it's basically instant. You just get it straight away when you need it. Unlike other bikes with speed sensors, some of them it doesn't kick in until you do about 5 kilometers, 4 kilometers per hour, then you get the power. The power delivery is very smooth. And you can see here with the frame size that I don't have any risk of my knees striking the handlebars. I've got plenty of room here. I'm 184 centimeters tall, and the handlebar height could be a little bit higher. I'm crouched down just a little, but I don't think it's going to be at the point where I will get a sore back or anything like that. So even though the torque sensor is quite good, it kicks in straight away, you still want to be in the right gear when you pull out from an intersection or you're coming out of a roundabout like me right now here. So the gears, Shimano, the shifts are very good up and down, no problems with them. I haven't had any grating of gears, and overall riding on the road here is very comfortable, very easy, very smooth. So it will take me up to 25 kilometers per hour, and you feel when you get to about 25.5, it just disconnects that motor and you can feel the drag a little bit on it. Now to get up and over 25 kilometers per hour, if you do that, you are not using then the battery at all, and you're going to extend your range a lot. So I can pedal quite hard now and happily get up to 30 and even up to 35 kilometers per hour without using that motor because of the gearing in its highest gear. So here we are at my climb point. So this is about 25 degrees. Now a lot of these bikes fail this test because it is quite steep. So I am in pedal assist level 3 and I'm just going to go down gears here, actually into the first gear. So this is where other bikes that have the belts, they fall flat on their face here because you can't change the gear. They're stuck in a high gear, but I've got a low gear now. I'm able to go up this with relative ease. It's not too bad, but I have to put a bit of effort in here. So this is the limitation of the 250 watt motor. This is where the EU law, I believe, should change. It should be 500 watts, and then this climb would be a little easier. And what would happen if I turn off the pedal assist? So let's find out. It's off now, and oh, you certainly notice it. This is very difficult without that motor. I'm gonna have to stand up now to power through this climb. It is possible. You're definitely gonna get a workout if you've got a flat battery. And now my standard emergency brake test, I'll do it from 30 kilometers from this post. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Pretty hard to stop there. It's so easy to lock up the rear wheels. So I wish they had hydraulics on the front and the back here. I think would be a little bit better. The braking performance is good. The pads do bite in from TechTablets. They are a little squeaky, as you can hear. And I've made it now to the end of the coast. A pleasant ride, really quite effortless on this road. Just how smooth it really does cruise along, so nice. So what about our range? I'm able to get around about 6, sometimes 7 kilometers per 10% out of this bike, which is pretty good, considering the fact that it has a 10 amp hour battery, which is a little larger than some of the other bikes that I've reviewed with this style, say the 700C wheels. They normally come with 7 amp hour batteries, and normally they're not removable. They're actually internal inside the frame, so they're not user removable, whereas this is. And as I mentioned, when we looked at the battery pack, I've actually seen this exact design, this exact dimension here used by some other brands, so it seems to be generic, which is a good thing. You'd be able to source a replacement battery quite easily. So that's one of the different positives of this bike. So braking performance from the Tektro mechanical disc brakes, 160 millimeters, is average. It could be a little bit better, but glad to see that they haven't actually gone with a generic brand which would have worse performance. I find that the pads from Tektro that they're using, they do give quite a good bite, and almost a little bit too powerful for the rear, because it's very easy to lock that up. And you do have to be careful with the front that if you brake a little too hard, of course, in the wet, you've got that risk of slipping over, which everyone knows, of course. Speaking of wet too, if you're going to be riding it in the rain, well, sadly, there are no mud guards. So I do hope that later they do include a package there that you can get mud guards for it. So the build overall is decent. I like the weight as well, 18 kilos. A lot of people would say, well, hang on, 18 kilos is super heavy for a bike with this size rim and being a city bike as well. But considering the fact it's got a larger 10 amp hour battery, the motor, it's not actually too bad. So many of these e-bikes they do cover will have weights excess of 20 kilos, sometimes 23, 24 kilos with a similar kind of style and size to it. So that's good. It's a comfortable seat post. It's very smooth and cruisy riding. The climbing performance from that 250 watt motor feels quite restricted because of the EU law. This is where I think they need to revise that EU law. 250 watts simply is not enough for steep climbs. It needs to be double that really. 500 watts should be the limit there. But at least we've got the gears here, which other bikes do not have. Some of those bikes only, of course, have a single speed, a belt drive system, which is smoother, less maintenance, but then if you have to climb a lot, that becomes a big issue, whereas at least you can drop it down into the lower gear and you can still go up those climbs. Now, riding on the flat is very good with this bike. It's fast, it's smooth. We've got great rolling resistance from the Kenda K West tires, and I do find that a lot of the times I'm riding over 25 kilometers per hour, so you're not even touching that battery. And the battery bank, you can remove it, it's lockable. So as mentioned, easily replaceable too, which is great there. So overall, this is a decent bike, and the only cons for me are the braking performance. The screen could be a little clearer, and this battery does rattle around. So they're just minor little cons there that I hope they can improve upon. So thank you so much for watching my review here of the Infinity 3 City e-bike.